The story begins with Holly, a young girl who seems like an ordinary teenager. During breakfast, her sister Vanessa and her brother Troy are so caught up in their conversation that they forget to serve Holly her meal. Their father starts eating even though Holly's plate is still empty. Noticing this, their mother quickly gives Holly some food, which cheers her up. One day, Holly receives a kaleidoscope from her mother, which shows beautiful patterns when turned. However, Holly's joy fades quickly when her mother falls ill and eventually passes away. Holly's life becomes increasingly bleak, and she starts being neglected. Her siblings even erase her name from the board in her room. During dinner, her father only asks Vanessa and Troy how their day was, leaving Holly to seek his attention. In class, Holly's questions are also ignored by her teacher. The next day, Holly disappears from the world, as if she never existed. Holly tries to talk to her father, but he doesn't respond. The same happens with Troy and Vanessa. When they take a family photo, Holly realizes she doesn't appear in it. At first, Holly thinks it's a joke, but she finally understands after seeing her room has been turned into a storage space. Years later, Holly has to adjust to her new life.
It's like anything.
Holly lives in an apartment where she avoids interaction with neighbors, and she asks couriers to leave packages at the door without ringing the bell repeatedly. To earn a living, Holly works as a paparazzo, taking pictures of scandals, especially celebrity affairs. One night, she gets a tip that a celebrity is at a nightclub, so Holly heads there by bus. She follows other passengers to get on and off the bus without being noticed by the driver or anyone else. Upon arriving at the nightclub, Holly sits and waits for her target, Bobby, to slip up. Finally, after a long wait, Bobby is caught cheating with a woman in a separate room, and Holly snaps a photo right away. Holly sends the photo to a producer at Gachin newspaper, and the next day, Bobby becomes headline news as his affair is exposed. Even though Holly lives as an unseen paparazzo, she still finds time to check on her family occasionally. Her father is still busy with his real estate business, while Vanessa is now married. On the other hand, Troy spends most of his time unemployed, making videos in the basement, recording women's feet as they walk by. Although Holly feels that being invisible gives her an advantage, she often feels lonely because she can't directly interact with others. One night, while Holly is stalking another celebrity at a nightclub, a security guard named Sean suddenly sees her. Holly doesn't turn around when Sean calls out to her, but she's shocked when he grabs her hand and escorts her out the back door. Thinking she might be normal again, Holly tries to interact with others, but still, no one notices her. The next day, excited, Holly tells her mother that someone was able to see and hear her.
I don't know how to put the pieces together.
When she returns home, Holly realizes that the guard who saw her yesterday was one of her past victims. She then searches for information about the man and finds out that Sean is a former world champion in mixed martial arts. However, Sean's career was ruined after a scandalous photo of him went viral, and his girlfriend, a supermodel named Juliana, left him. The next night, Holly meets Sean and confesses that she was the one who took that photo. Sean, hearing this, becomes angry and demands that Holly stay away from him. However, Holly says she wants to make amends by helping to restore Sean's career, though Sean reacts skeptically, thinking Holly is joking. Despite being told to leave, Holly continues to follow Sean, who is in a conversation with his manager about a new offer. Sean asks his manager if he sees anyone sitting at the table, but the manager doesn't see anyone. When the manager offers $800 for the fight, Holly looks at his phone and tells Sean that the actual offer is $1,500. Hearing this, Sean tries to negotiate a higher pay and is surprised when the manager agrees. After the deal is made, Sean steps outside and is informed by Holly that no one else can see her except him. Since the earlier evidence wasn't enough to convince Sean, Holly boldly stands in the middle of the road in front of an oncoming car. Sean quickly pulls her aside and asks the driver to scold Holly, but the driver thinks Sean is crazy because he doesn't see anyone near him. Confused by what's happening, Sean decides to head home and asks Holly to come to his apartment the next day to discuss everything. The next morning, Holly arrives at Sean's apartment, and even Sean's pet dog can't see her. Continuing their previous conversation, Holly offers to help rebuild Sean's career, the one she ruined, hoping it might lift the strange curse. After Sean shares stories about his childhood, Holly is invited to watch his non-professional fight. Although Sean wins the fight, Holly feels sympathy when she learns that the prize money is only $300. Holly promises to find him a match at the professional level. However, Sean is doubtful because he thinks he's no longer famous, making it unlikely anyone would want to fight him. Back at her apartment, Holly starts researching professional fighters who could be potential opponents for Sean. Eventually, Holly picks Suarez, a fighter who was once involved in a steroid scandal. The next morning, Holly sneaks into Suarez's house and snaps a photo of the steroids to blackmail him into fighting Sean. After succeeding, Holly meets with Sean, and before she can explain about Suarez, Sean asks when Holly first became invisible to others, bringing them closer. Shortly after, Sean's manager calls to inform him that Suarez has agreed to fight him in 6 weeks. Sean is thrilled and asks how Holly managed it, but she tells him to focus on training while she handles the details of the match. News of Sean's return to professional fighting after 5 years starts to spread. Many predict that Sean will lose, but he ignores the rumors and stays focused on training with Holly by his side. During that time, Holly reveals that she can't watch the match in person because of a past trauma and crowded places. A few days before the fight, Holly goes to Sean's apartment to watch it on TV. She even borrows lipstick from another passenger and puts on makeup before getting on the bus. During the fight, Sean and Suarez exchange fierce blows. In the final round, Sean manages to pin Suarez down, forcing him to surrender. When Sean returns to his apartment, he is surrounded by famous reporters, with one asking why he isn't throwing a victory party. Sean casually replies that the celebration will be a small gathering at his place, making the reporters even more curious. Holly, who was waiting for Sean, joins him on the rooftop to enjoy the night, bringing a blanket and some snacks. Under the moonlight, Sean asks if Holly is just a figment of his imagination, which offends her. Sean quickly apologizes, gently patting her head and kissing her. At that moment, the reporter from earlier reappears and snaps a photo of them before running off. As Sean tries to chase him, Holly reassures him, saying she's confident she won't appear in the photo. However, Sean is more concerned about the door being locked from the outside, forcing them to spend the night on the rooftop. In that moment, Holly experiences a man's embrace for the first time, which soon leads to something more. The next morning, Holly is shocked to see news about Sean kissing someone because her reflection is visible in the photo. A few weeks later, Sean prepares for his next fight against a well-known fighter named Tommy. When reporters ask about the woman he was seen kissing, Sean chooses not to comment. Afterward, Holly sneaks into Tommy's car to force him to lose the fight against Sean. She threatens to expose Tommy's habit of mistreating women to the media. He doesn't comply. Later that night, Holly meets with Sean, and they discuss how her reflection appeared in the photo, making them both happy. However, their moment is interrupted when Juliana calls Sean to congratulate him on his win. A few days later, the match between Sean and Tommy takes place. But Tommy signals to Sean that he's planning to throw the fight on purpose. The public was stunned when Sean won the fight, and his name quickly resurfaced in the boxing world. Afterward, Holly sent false information to a producer, claiming that Sean would face the top fighter, Attila. Holly sneaked into Attila's house, hoping to find something she could use to give Sean an unfair advantage. Unfortunately, she found nothing and decided to leave. At that moment, Holly received a tip that Juliana was on a date with another man somewhere. To make some money, Holly rushed to the location, only to be shocked that the man with Juliana was Sean. As Sean looked confused, Juliana asked him who he was talking to. Without taking a picture, Holly chose to leave and Sean ran after her. Holly questioned the meaning of their kiss the other day and said Juliana was only interested in Sean because of his regained fame. Sean logically replied that he didn't want people thinking he was crazy for being involved with an invisible woman. Hearing this, Holly told Sean she found nothing wrong with Attila, making him realize that his previous victories were due to cheating. This infuriated Sean, and he told Holly to stay away from him, sarcastically suggesting she continue finding faults in others. A few days later, Holly returned to her routine as a paparazzi. However, as time passed, she started feeling that her job was wrong, while Sean rekindled his relationship with Juliana. Seeing this news broke Holly's heart even more, and she chose to lock herself in her apartment, drinking heavily. Unexpectedly, Sean visited her and admitted that the photo of his affair taken by Holly wasn't the real reason his career and relationships crumbled. It was his arrogance and laziness at the peak of his career. Sean also revealed that Juliana had also cheated, and they both agreed to end things. Hearing this, Holly felt even more devastated, and when Sean tried to comfort her, she pushed him away. Sean hoped Holly would come to his next match. After Sean left, Holly, in frustration, smashed the kaleidoscope her mother had given her. The next day, Holly realized she no longer appeared in mirrors, indicating that she had truly vanished. To confirm this, she went to Sean's training place, and her fear came true when Sean couldn't see or hear her. Holly wandered aimlessly, angry at her mother, who had once promised to always be there for her. Then she visited her siblings and father to say goodbye, believing she would soon disappear forever. Watching her father, Holly saw that he still hadn't gotten over her mother's passing, which made Holly smile. Before leaving, Holly apologized for all the negative thoughts she had ever had, and surprisingly, her father felt someone nearby. While walking, Holly pulled something from her pocket and remembered that Sean's fight was that night. Even though she had promised herself to avoid crowds, Holly gathered her courage to support Sean in person. The fight between Sean and Attila began, with Sean taking many hits and kicks. To make matters worse, Juliana, who was supposed to be cheering Sean on, was distracted by her fans. Holly, already at the arena, stepped in to support Sean, who was struggling. Unfortunately, Sean couldn't see Holly's presence. As Holly held Sean's hand and cheered him on with all her heart, suddenly Sean was able to see her. In fact, everyone in the arena could see her too, indicating that Holly's curse had been broken. Holly was shocked when an official pulled her out of the arena, while Sean began to fight back against Attila after getting Holly's support. As Sean was close to winning by locking Attila, the match was stopped due to time, and Sean had to accept defeat based on points. Before chasing after Holly, Sean ended his relationship with Juliana, who quickly found a replacement. Sean then asked the official to release Holly and thanked her for her meaningful presence. They then began a romantic relationship after Sean explained he had broken up with Juliana. The next day, Holly met her father, who was loading items into a car. Her father was initially confused by the girl in front of him, but then remembered that the girl was his daughter, Holly. The film ends with their embrace.